Hey ladies and gentlemen, Steven here from Redolessence and welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it and I hope that this video finds you well. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about 5 Parfum vintage fragrances that I think are fantastic picks for the colder weather, specifically the autumn and the winter, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin this video and I tell you what these top 5 Parfum vintage fragrances are that I think are fantastic picks for the colder weather, specifically the autumn and the winter, I do want to mention that if you are a fan of fragrance related content, if you like fragrance reviews but also top lists just like this video, and pretty much anything having to do with fragrances, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner. And of course, while you're at it, please make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. This way, whenever I do publish these videos, they will get delivered straight to your feed. So 5 fragrances by the company Parfum Vintage that I think are going to be fantastic, head-turning, heavy hitter fragrances for the colder weather. Now, as of the time that I'm shooting this video, today is October 12th. I'm really excited to talk about these fragrances because I have been genuinely holding off on wearing these fragrances. Some of them I actually acquired during the quarantine, like in April or May, and I said, man, I gotta wait to wear this fragrance because some of them are genuinely heavy, and it's because they're constructed off of heavy DNA. So what do I mean by that? A lot of you probably know that the perfumer Damien Stammers for Parfum Vintage, he does create his version of more popular niche or designer fragrances. In the case of some of them, he does go after original formulations. For other fragrances, he takes perhaps a designer fragrance that isn't performing as well and he beefs it up. And of course, he also makes his version of some really popular niche fragrances, but he tries to improve upon the DNA by manipulating certain ingredients, so on and so forth. Just like in the case of Green Irish Tweed by Creed, you have Verbena Fields and Emerald Isle. And so he kind of plays around with the ratio and the proportions of the lemon verbena and the violet and so on and so forth. And of course, with the International Fragrance Association, fragrances throughout the years, they do get reformulated for whatever reason, either because they contain allergenic ingredients or, certain ingredients become outlawed. And of course, there are also political reasons involved. I'm not going to get into it, but Parfum Vintage does work to try to recreate some of these OG DNAs. And I really do appreciate that, and I think there is a place for the fragrances in this list. Oh, and they also create hybrids. So the first fragrance on this list is actually a hybrid. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and start the list. So the first fragrance that I think is going to be fantastic for the colder weather is a hybrid of 2 fragrances that I personally love wearing in the colder weather. So I thought to myself, the marriage of these 2 fragrances is likely to be one that I'm going to really enjoy in the fall and winter. Yeah, and this one is Xenon. So Xenon is their version of Baccarat Rouge 540 by Maison Francis Kurkdjian and Straight to Heaven by Kilian Paris. And so you have that sweetness from the Baccarat Rouge, which a lot of companies, both designer and niche, are utilizing that Baccarat Rouge DNA. You guys know Christian Siriano with Oula Rouge. You guys know Burberry Her. You know Ariana Grande Cloud. And there's just tons of fragrances. I'm not going to go through the list, but there's probably like 30 or 40 fragrances that have utilized that Baccarat Rouge DNA. And here is Parfum Vintage just sort of adding their name to the list, if you will. But I think it's the pairing of Baccarat Rouge with that boozy, spicy patchouli thing going on in Straight to Heaven that really makes this fragrance a love for me. And I think I'm going to review this one because I really do like the blending of these fragrances and all the ingredients in here. It doesn't seem sloppy. It seems like they click and they tessellate really well with one another. I gotta be honest with you guys, I do have their version of their hybrid of Baccarat Rouge 540 and Millésime Imperial. And while I love those fragrances independent of one another, there was just something about that hybrid that I thought it was too much of a contrast. And for that reason, I didn't wear that one as much, although I do own it. And I like the quirkiness of it, if you will. But I feel like this one is so well done. And those 2 fragrances are both loves for me. So it goes without saying that if I'm imagining myself layering them, I might as well just take out the ratios and the guesswork, and I'll just wear this instead, and it lasts for a long time. It's going to get you about 10 hours on your skin. So if you are a fan of longevity when it comes to these fragrances, of course, because they are heavier compositions by default, they're likely to last a little bit longer. But in the case of the first one, it does actually last a very long time on my skin. Okay, so the second one is Maverick. This is their version of M7 Fresh by Yves Saint Laurent. And in the case of this fragrance, I think you guys know the history of M7. It was the 7th male release from the company, hence the name M7. It was the first commercial use of the note of oud in a designer fragrance. The creative director for Yves Saint Laurent at the time was Tom Ford. And this is a woodsy, oudy, ambery, resinous kind of a fragrance. And of course, with the flanker M7 Fresh, they made a fresher version, right? And so this one has that ozonic thing going on in the opening. It has the added citrus ingredients in there. And for me personally, despite the designation or the classification of fresh in the title, I still do consider this to be quite a heavy fragrance, and one that I would still be likely to wear in the colder weather as opposed to in the dead of summer. Just for me, you know, summer and oud don't mix very well. Even if it has an abundance of citrus in the opening, the presence of the oud alone just screams colder weather for me. So, you know, I do put it on the back burner, I wait a few months, and I bust it out when it comes time to wear it. And I do think this is going to be a head-turning composition, especially one with virility, with sustenance, with longevity, and it's a resolute fragrance. It's one that is going to last quite well in the colder weather. This one is Maverick, and I'm definitely looking forward to wearing this one because between you and me, I haven't really worn it a whole lot. I've been waiting. The next one on this list is from their Pineapple Vintage line. So that is their version of Creed Aventus, and that was among the originals, right? Pineapple Vintage, and then we have the Emperors. But in the case of this one, it's a very fruity blend. Now, what is this fragrance exactly? I know you can't tell by looking at the labels, but this one is Pineapple Vintage Intense The One. So they had Pineapple Vintage, and then they came out with Pineapple Vintage Intense, which is a stronger version, and now they have Pineapple Vintage Intense The One, which is supposed to be even stronger. So that's why I said this is, I think, one of the better fragrances to wear in the colder weather. Now, I do like some of their more vanilla heavy interpretations of Creed Aventus. I also really love Emperor Extrait. I think that is probably my favorite. And they have a lot of really good Aventus inspirations that last a very, very long time on my skin. And there's also something about Parfum Vintage fragrances where I don't experience olfactory fatigue. I don't become anosmic to them. They do have to last for a very long time. In the case of this one, I like it because it's very different from the modern Aventus interpretations that are on the market. And what I mean by that is with the current batches, you get a lot of vanilla, right? And it seems like the smoke has been severely diminished. In the case of this fragrance, it's all about the fruits, in my opinion. It opens up with that very lush and vibrant and juicy pineapple in the opening, and that's pretty much all you're going to get for the first 3 to 5 minutes. And then the apple and the black currant start to come to the fore. And yes, you do have those woodsy and earthy ingredients in the base, but it's been stripped of the florals. I'm not saying they're not in here, but my nose doesn't get them as strongly as it does the pineapple. So the florals don't have as much of a major role. The smoke doesn't have as much of a major role. And the vanilla, while it is in there, you will find it a lot more prominently being used in some other Parfum Vintage Aventus inspirations. Yeah, but this one is strong, hence the name Pineapple Vintage Intense The One. This is definitely one of their stronger fragrances to date when it comes to Aventus inspirations, but you have to love the fruity batches. So the next fragrance on this list is actually their version of a fragrance by Louis Vuitton, and this one is called Matière Noir, but Parfum Vintage's version is called Corps de Cuir, which means the heart of leather. And this one is awesome. This is an agarwood, sort of incensey, patchouli, rose, black currant, and resinous kind of a fragrance. And I am getting a lot of the oud. I'm getting a lot of the rose, but surprisingly enough, it's not reminding me of those typical oud rose fragrances that are on the market. There's a smoothness to it, which I can really appreciate. And it's an oud fragrance similar to something that I've smelled before, but it still kind of does its own thing, which I really appreciate. And this is another reason why I'm really starting to foster an appreciation for these types of fragrances, because now I feel compelled to go out there and purchase the original by Louis Vuitton, because I'm actually really enjoying this one. So this one is awesome. I think it's perfect for the colder weather, especially the oud, the patchouli, the incense, the resins, some of those heavier ingredients. But really, I think the blackcurrant is the star of the show here. Blackcurrant and cassis, you know, depending on how they're used, they can kind of give off a musky vibe. This one doesn't have that musky quality. It's not animalic in any way. It has the fruity touches, but it also has those enduring, you know, bass heavy notes like the patchouli and the incense. This is another love for me. I really, really enjoyed this fragrance, and you have my word that I will be purchasing the original. And the last one on this list, oh wow, that actually just brought back a lot of memories smelling it. I didn't smell any of these, right? I just sprayed them on. I put the test strips down in a nice sort of semicircle fashion, and I didn't actually smell this one, but this one just brought back a lot of memories of when I was in high school. This is their version of La Nuit de l'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent, and this one is called Suave. So we have two Yves Saint Laurent fragrances in this list. So this one is their version of the original Yves Saint Laurent. And, you know, the original has been reformulated from what people have been saying. I still love the fragrance to death. It's very nostalgic, very poignant, and very sentimental for me. And you guys know that it's this cardamom heavy fragrance. It's smooth, it's powdery. I will admit it is a little bit powdery, but that doesn't take away from the elegance and the sophistication of the fragrance. I found the original L'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent to be very playful. It has that fruity quality, the fruits, the apple, the ginger. It's very vibrant and youthful. And then this one, Suave, or, you know, subsequently La Nuit de l'Homme, is very dressed up. It's the more mature older brother, the one who doesn't need to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning because he knows he has an early day ahead of him. He's a go-getter, he's a hard worker, and is just such a classy date night scent. And it's such an iconic fragrance in the perfume world, you know. Everybody is familiar with La Nuit de l'Homme by Yves Saint Laurent, and with Suave, they really took the best elements of it and they created a very long-lasting fragrance that is evocative to the original formulation. And I just really, really appreciate what they've done. And there you have it, guys. I'm just gonna wrap it up here. These have been my top 5 favorite Parfum vintage fragrances for the colder weather. Of course, they have a lot of other fragrances that I'm going to be wearing in time as well, and some I've worn more than others, but of course, I'm definitely looking forward to wearing these fragrances as I have acquired a lot of them recently, with the exception of Suave. But with the others, I have acquired them recently, but I've sort of put them on the back burner waiting for the weather to become colder so that I feel like their wearing is a bit more appropriate. But thank you so much for watching. If you have any favorites from this company, please let me know what they are. Leave a comment down below. I always love the interaction. And once again, if you are new to this channel and you took something of value from this video, I would really appreciate it if you could support this channel by subscribing to it. All you have to do is click on that red button in the corner, and of course, please make sure to enable notifications by clicking on the bell. Thanks again for watching. I love you all. We'll see you next time. Bye.